I'm sitting in the railway station, got a ticket for my destination. On a tour of one.
Okay, so now that we talked a little bit about the different kinds of bottom brackets that you might find, those are just a few examples. There's probably others out there. The next one I'm going to show you actually is slightly different than those other two, which is the one that is currently on this Specialized, and it has some unique features to it. So the first thing you'll need to do is remove the dust cap that's on the outside of the crank. This is I've already loosened this one, so basically you could get a flat tip screwdriver and you would loosen that up. I've already loosened it so I can just unthread it by hand. So this is just a plastic dust cap. This is just a plastic dust cap, and it threads into the crank arm. Okay, so the next step in taking off and removing a crank is you need to decide what you're going to do with the chain. So you can either take the chain completely off, or you can shift it down to the small ring and then let it drop down onto the bottom bracket shell, which is the way I'm going to do it. Otherwise, I could take, this is a KMC chain with a link that allows me to remove the chain pretty easily. I could just take it off here and remove the chain so that it's out of the way. However, I'm just going to leave it in place so that it doesn't end up laying on the ground and collecting more dirt than it already is. Oh, look at that. How convenient. See, my bike knew that I wanted to take the crankset off, so the chain just dropped. So, anyway, that's probably not a good sign. That means that my derailleur probably could use some adjusting. So let's go to the next step here. The next thing we need to do is remove this bolt from the spindle, and on this particular one, this is a bolt and it's a 14 millimeter. So all you have to do is just get it on there, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and you can use the crank arm for leverage and just loosen it up. So let's pull this out. And in here there's a washer, so make sure we get that. So as you can see, this is just a bolt that's threaded into the spindle of the bottom bracket. The next thing you're going to need is you're going to need a tool that can press or pull off the crank arm. And the tool we'll be using is this. Here, let me get a better view for you. The idea with this tool is that you thread, the right threads to go inside the threads into the crank arm, and you just want to thread that back enough so that you can get that out of the way. What this is going to do is, once you thread this into the crank arm, you're going to then run this in, and what it'll do is it'll push on the spindle and pull on the crank, and it'll pull it off of that tapered bottom bracket. So let's go ahead and thread this in. And as far as how far do you want to go in, you want to go in as far as you can, because you want to bite on as many, get as many threads as you can, so that when you go to thread this part in, so now as we thread this in, it's going to start to push on that spindle, and it's going to pull on the crank. So we're kind of locked into the, right now we're threaded into this aluminum crank arm, and we have this shaft that's going to go in and push on the spindle, and then the resulting force is going to pull this off. So let's go ahead and do that. And all you got to do is keep the bike from falling over, and just hold you're going to need some leverage, so I just usually do it like this as I knock the bike over. And as you can see, it's pretty tight, so just keep going. That should loosen up. There we go. So this one was on there pretty snug, but once it starts to go, it's going to ease up and then now you're gonna have your. Here, let me set this here. I need to get a proper bike stand. So that's it. So now that you see that's off, then you can back this out, and then you can unthread that. And again, just get it in there. Doesn't have to. You don't need to use a tool to put it on, as long as you're biting enough threads, and you can probably see that this there's a ledge in there, so it's only going to thread down so far anyway. Okay, so that's that side. So that side's off, and I'll go ahead and do the other side, because it's the same method. Turn the bike around. And by the way, as you can see, I'm doing this without a bike stand. So if I can do this.
What I meant to say here was that if I could do this without a bike stand, it would be a whole lot easier with a bike
so let's
stand.
do the other side. Again, all we're doing is we're righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, right? So let's get it, I like to get it close. In this case, I'm just going to get it right in here, because it's just easier to use that, kind of use it like that, kind of pull it together like scissors, and then we'll go ahead and do the same thing here. Again, all we're doing is threading this on as far down as it'll go, get it down, and then just start threading this in. And again, just turn it righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Can't say that enough. People seem to forget. There's only a few things on the bike that are reverse threaded, and I think it's on the bottom bracket. There's one thing that's reverse thread that you have to watch out for. Otherwise, most things are standard, normal threading, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
That stands my suitcase and guitar in hand, and every stop is neatly planned for a poet and a one-man band.